Bing bong.
Okay, now we got that out of the way. All right. No, I'm very happy to have.
Oh, oh yeah.
I'm very happy to have this conversation today. I happen to have somebody that I basically one of the most inspirational role models in the fitness industry as far as when it comes down to really putting yourself out there, really not giving a fuck about really caring about what anyone's opinions are. This man right here is the definition of not giving a fuck in the fitness industry, and I absolutely love him. He's inspired me to really pursue several different routes. I'm going to let him talk a little bit about himself before we start stroking his pole.
Right on. I would love that. Thank you. Stroke away. So, yeah, my name is Jarrod Cardona, aka branded the Crazy Trainer over the last like 6 years. And I would say for the most part, I'm a specialist when it comes down to high performance training. And it really goes from the fundamentals all the way through. I believe in all types of modalities. I think there's room and space for all types of practices. I'm very against staying into one practice only. I don't believe in that dogmatic mentality. And something that's kind of been a big fire for me since starting this career is raising the standard as a coach. And
Mm.
that means education, that means application, getting your reps in, practicing things on yourself. So that way we can communicate what we want more efficiently to our clients. The way I think about it is like most people who are into fitness or get into fitness later, when we talk about general population, your 9 to 5 worker, of course, you had some athletes. We've had athletes, but most of them sucked at PE. They were the kids that potentially weren't picked. And
Yeah, me.
being really patient with those types of people, because recognizing like, damn, I was good in PE and I had that type of intelligence training wise. So raising the standard on bringing that type of value and experience to people who look back in their career in fitness or in PE and they were like, I hated that. Well, let's find a way to make them enjoy the process of the grit of the movements of things they're not so great at. So I would say that's a little bit about me. I have a degree in kinesiology, born and raised in Miami, Florida, owned a small gym in Orlando, Florida for about 4 years, moved to Austin these last 2 years, and along the way, just continued learning all types of fitness modalities.
Yeah, and that's one of the another reasons why I wanted to have you on here as well, is because you are someone who constantly, I've never seen you basically stay in the same style for no more than like just a couple of months. And there's something else new that you're doing. There's something heavier that you're doing. There's a new weight that you're doing. It's what you hit the nail on the head. And I'm also someone that doesn't believe in the one way trains all. Like you got to train in all different aspects. Like yeah, you're gonna have room for your pretty boy shit to do your chest, your biceps, triceps, all that stuff.
Yep.
But then you got to have plenty of room to still hit the sandbags, maces, clubs, kettlebells, and then every now and then when you need to do your cardio, hit the bike, hit the skier, whatever you need to do as far as boosting up your cardio and endurance. Never just stick to the one way of training. So I'm fully, I'm fully behind you on that one, and I really hope that that mentality starts to become more adapted, especially in the fitness industry, because it's so tribal right now. Everybody is so in their own like specific tribes between CrossFitters, High Roxers, fucking
Bodybuilders.
bodybuilders,
Yep.
like everybody, missing the whole concept of like it's still fitness at the end of the day. We're all in it because it's fitness. We're all in it for the same passion, for the most part, at least. Because we're always looking to better ourselves and improve our bodies and improve our minds and improve our discipline just by being able to pick up some heavier weights and being more consistent with it over time. Uh, you happen to also be one of the first people that I stumbled across with kettlebell juggling. What
Yep.
was one of the things that inspired you, and when did it inspire you to start picking up a kettlebell and start flipping it around and throwing it around your body and, really doing something completely out of the ordinary?
I saw another content creator, Drew Miller, who's an incredible coach. Out, I think he's in like Canada or something like that. And I saw him flip a kettlebell in between his legs into like a beautiful looking windmill after catching it. And I was immediately drawn to the shapes and the fluidity of what was going on. Similar to watching like basketball, you don't need to know basketball, all the rules well to see like, holy shit, that dunk was awesome.
Yeah.
Or holy shit, like the way they crossed the ball to that side and transition from hand to hand. I think we all have an eye and an awareness for flow. And when we see something very fluid, it draws us, it pauses our attention. And it did it for me. And so I just really got into it because I saw somebody else do it, tried it myself, and was like, this is fun. And after doing years of, a lot of bodybuilding style training, I I'm craving variety. I got bored. Something I say a lot of the time is bodybuilding is the missionary sex position of fitness. And it's safe and it's good to do and it's great to practice and there's still a lot of fun to be had in those positions, but when I saw a skill like the flipping, I realized there's so many ways to be active and there's so many ways to do things. And, that day I just wanted to play. I wanted to have a feeling of play, and catching a ball took me back immediately to being an athlete in
Mm.
elementary school, middle school, high school. It took me back to those PE days where you were just throwing a ball up in the air and catching it if you were one of those types of people. And
Yeah.
so I found that at a time I really needed to be more present in everything. I needed to be more present for my clients I was serving, for the gym that was growing around me, and how to pivot left and right as an entrepreneur and come up with new ideas. And as I did it, it turned into more lessons. Like I remember how many times I've dropped the kettlebell and then I'd pick it up again because I was like, it doesn't look good now and it's not where I want it to be, but one day it will be. And I saw a vision for how the fluidity would move with me and the kettlebell. And that took away a lot of the feelings of self judgment because I didn't get discouraged picking it up over and over again and failing over and over again. It's like I remember the first time I learned how to snowboard. I was so sore the next day in my triceps and chest from picking myself up more than I
Mm.
was using my legs and hips. And so really applying that same mindset to the kettlebell flipping or any skill is what needs to be done to become a master at that skill or a much more heightened athlete, coach, trainer. And to be problem solving, like, okay, now that I know this, what happens here? My brain got turned on. Like,
Mm.
we talked earlier about staying dogmatic. My big thing is when I look back at how I started fitness, I really just gave a fuck that the person got off the couch. I know what it's like to be watching TV, having your computer playing video games, and eating Oreos and dipping it in milk for hours. And so my big thing is, can I at least speak to that person? And there's so many versions of us who are like that, who need different ways to be attracted to fitness.
Mm.
And bodybuilding might not be the thing that draws them into being active, but flowing with the kettlebell or flipping a kettlebell might bring them to a state of excitement and joy. And if that can trigger your journey to start, that's a great place to be.
Beautifully said. Absolutely beautifully said. I couldn't have said that any other way, any better. Especially the part with the ball, throwing the ball up. You know, I it's really odd that you say that because it's such a vivid memory in my head from playing baseball as a kid, throwing up the ball, catching it one hand, waiting for someone to come out, and then you- feeling that same feeling with a kettlebell. Very much do see the similarities with that as well. And I absolutely love it whenever I get a chance to really go out to the beach and bring my bell with me and just do a simple let my mind loose, let the bell fly. Like when you and shout out to Carlos, Kettlebell Carlos, you guys were the first guys that really showed me and also gave me positive tips on how to flip the bell properly because Lord knows I remember my first video flipping a kettlebell and Jesus Christ. Oh man, that's just like everyone
It
else when
brings
you first
another
started everything
level of
else.
awareness, as I was saying earlier about my brain being turned on. When you start to realize your fingers are involved in activities,
Mm.
your wrists are involved in activities, it just makes you, I think it creates new synapses throughout the brain because you're solving new problems and figuring out new ways to move. And, in the industry, we talk so much about sustainability and the body, of course, being a part of that, but your mind is attached to your body. And so if you stay, like, it's not wrong to stay in just one lane if that's what's going to keep you consistent. But at the same time, like, there's so much more to be felt, seen, thought of, and the high that you get learning a new skill set. that requires you to be so on right now is something so powerful for today's generation, and honestly, all generations, just in today's age, just
Hmm.
the amount of distraction where I immediately want to get pulled to something else, whether it's scrolling or whether it's activities or things, it's versus zoning in again and remembering like playing basketball. When I was shooting the ball, if I focused on the crowd, it didn't go as well. If I focused on what happens if I miss, it didn't go as well. But when I locked in on the present moment and I have a task that solve the problem, you really are training your brain's neuroplasticity, when it comes down to working harder and being more present in your day to day, your moment to moment.
Mm, mm, mm. And that digest a little bit because it's so it's a training style and that can truly open up your mind to what can really the human body can do, but then also what your soul is really capable of, like the heart that you have for yourself and what you want to do to better yourself. Like it's always amazing and heartwarming to see when you have clientele that come in a little lost, they have no idea what's going on, they're fairly they have an idea that they want where they want to be, but they have no idea how to get there. And then when you start showing them these new things, like even if it's just something as simple as a kettlebell swing, or even if it's just something as simple as a club pullover to help loosen up their shoulders, the variety of different movements that are introduced into the variety of different training styles that we offer, it's always a blessing when you get a chance to see people move and truly feel movement and that betters them for the first time. And I feel like a lot of people are very discouraged from trying a lot of this stuff because they're afraid of the dropping the bell so many times or hitting their foot. They're afraid of letting the mace hit them in the back. To those people who are afraid, or you would say that are more nervous about that next step, what is some advice that you can give them that can get them out of that shell a little more?
You can't focus on that shit. I mean, it's like being an entrepreneur as a trainer, like I've had to fight for 10 years to stay an entrepreneur as a coach. And I would say a big piece of that is I don't have a fallback option. I must succeed.
Mm,
Like that is the only way to get to that next level. If you imagine the accidents that can happen all the time in your life, you're always looking around for yellow, you're going to find yellow. It's
mm,
those same concepts of training your perspective. And so I would say like these crafts and these modalities help train our mind and our perspective on life, where it's what are the possibilities, what can go right, not necessarily focusing on what can go wrong. And I think the more
mm.
anyone adopts that mentality over time, the less likely you are to fuck yourself.
Oh man, fucking, you are hitting the most beautiful nails on the head with the largest of just cock hammers, just one after another, one after another.
Hey man, I'm not able to say it without going through it. So it's not like I don't work through my own self-sabotage behaviors and my own doubts. Like these last few months, the most has ever come out in my whole career, and I'm still fighting every day to train my perspective.
Mm. See
And
now that
flowing is a part of that.
a lot of people may not understand that also. Like they only see this one side that's on Instagram, but you're still a human being going through your own shit at the end of the day, like, as well. Like you're not just some robot who trains people and then that's it and you go to bed. Like no, you actually have your own life, you have your own emotions, you have your own shit that's going on right now, and especially in an oversaturated industry, the business that gets tarnished so much by bad coaches that deteriorate from working with individuals who are experienced but also have been down the same road as majority of their clientele. I know what you mean, and I know what it means when you're saying earlier before we started recording that roller coaster, because especially in the training world, it's a constant roller coaster. Like there's no really set stable time ever. Like you're always at the mercy of people for the most part, because at the end of the day, if you truly do care about it, you're not just going to give the same cookie cutter program to everybody. You're actually going to give your heart into it because it's also your brand at the end of the day too as well. Like you're putting your brand, well, you're putting your feelings and you're putting your values into that brand so it stands out more. So when someone like yourself is also successful in this industry, being as transparent as you are, saying that you still go through those same roller coasters, that's one of the most relatable things that a majority of coaches are going to like hear, because a lot of the times when people see a large following, they instantly think that, you know, constant revenue, major money rolling in, all this stuff. But like
Yeah, yeah.
there's still a side of this that people don't understand, that it's not just the views and the followers, like it's the actual people that we work with that really do, one, keep us doing what we're doing with the entrepreneurship, with training, but also at the same time it gives us the opportunity to continuously keep outreaching and help more people. Like, I'm sure you care more about the impact than anything else that you have on people's lives.
1,000%. I got into this industry to serve. I got
Mm,
in this industry to help people. And that required me to step up in my knowledge base as a coach. And it continues to in my systems because, you talked about being a successful person in this industry. What does that even mean? Right? Like for me, just to be transparent, I'm so happy that I built an Instagram brand. It's awesome that hundreds of thousands of people, millions potentially, have been impacted in a way where they're, hey, you know what? That workout looks interesting enough to try out. Let me do that. And so that's a version of success in one manner. And then there's, working with one-on-one clients. As you know, like one of the most fulfilling fucking things is working out with a one-on-one client. It makes so much sense.
hmm
There's six, according to Tony Robbins's spiel, there are six emotional needs that every human needs in their life to feel high, to feel in a peak state of mind. And these six needs are met in human interaction, right? Inside of a training session, I'm providing a safe space. That word, that emotion that we're looking to fill up, if each one was a bank account, security being one of them. Not only is that person feeling safe, I'm feeling safe. There's a financial exchange, that's security. There's trust, that's security. Inside of a training experience, my bank account of emotional security is filling up. Then we have variety. Variety is the spice of life. A human being, like, yes, they're going to go through similar waves and have a rhythmic life in some ways. But some days you have a client who walks in and they are not themselves that day. They're a little bit different. And you have to be emotionally intelligent enough to guide that session in a way that's going to impact them and make them happy they bothered to show up that day.
hmm
Let alone, here's variety. Today we're using a fucking mace. Congratulations. We're not using a squat rack today. There's so much variety to be offered inside of the service of a training session with a client where they get to really experience like you are the variety in their day and they
hmm
are yours. And the things that you do together, because they might not be cookie cutter, are already different from individual to individual. So again, in a training session, variety, that emotional bank account is filled. Then you have significance. I feel significant. I am coaching. I am the coach. They're significant. You are the athlete. You are the client. There's
mm
already an emotional bank being filled on that level of significance. Then we have connection, a fourth emotional need there. Well, there's a fuckload of connection happening in right now, eye to eye contact virtually, let alone inside of a one on one training session where that person, and I'm going through this, is sitting on their couch as a remote client, a remote worker, and
mm.
they don't have human interaction. And so that connection that they're going to experience with you, eye to eye contact, dialogue, touch potentially. What workout are we doing today? And can they connect to their muscle groups? Can they feel their pecs, their biceps, their lats? Like there's such a high form of connection going on inside of a personal training session. Then you have growth and contribution, the last two emotional bank accounts. It's like, fuck, man. There's definitely growth happening every session because even if you can't see your body fat changing in this session, did you feel that in your glute, Susan? Yes. Did you feel that last week? No. Congratulations. You have growth. In my training session, when I'm training somebody, I'm becoming a better communicator. There is growth. There's growth together. And then we have contribution, another need for emotions to fill up in their bank accounts. Well, I've definitely contributed to this person's life, and they've definitely contributed to me, whether it was a financial exchange or a fucking soul exchange when you find the right people. So
Mm,
six needs are met emotionally inside of a one-on-one session. And so again, like, is that success? Can be. And then we have, when I'm thinking about branding online, what I'm working through now, I don't consider myself a successful online coach. There are so many systems that are required to build a high ticket experience for a client. Why would someone want to pay 1 grand a month unless they're going to spend some time with you, right? If they're charging 150 to $250 an hour at a corporate place, they're only usually going to get that time with somebody. They're
mm,
not necessarily getting their nutritional guidance. They're not getting a system to follow outside of those workouts. That success I'm learning right now how to build online. That amount of accountability where I'm actually checking in with each person. I'm looking at form, techniques, checking in once a week at least
mm.
to bring higher value. So for me, I have a lot of space to grow when it comes down to the terminology success as an online coach. Great that I made a brand, but how connected is that brand? Do they even know me that well? Am I someone they trust enough to want to support because they're motivated, or are they just watching workouts and thank you for your workouts, dude?
Mm.
Is that success? So there's a lot of things I think about when you mention like people will view me as successful. I will say, as an educator and someone who actually understands a lot of the mechanics of what's going on, I'm pretty successful in that sense. As someone who's built a one-on-one training business multiple times in multiple places in person, I would say I'm relatively successful with that experience. Owning a gym, partially, and then having an online business, whole new world.
Hmm. So the whole online world, what brought you to that? Being that you had so much success in person, is it because obviously the training world, we're gonna need the extra source of income, or was it just something that new you wanted to dabble your feet in?
I had a fallout with the gym I was currently at, and I'd been operating there for about a year and a half. And whether it was both of our egos, multiple egos for us, like I can always do better, they ended up asking me to leave. And when that happened, I felt so abandoned. I felt
Hmm.
so fucking hurt to be kicked out of a space that I felt I brought so much value to, education to, experience to, energy to, motivation to. I had a lot of people who really who support me there. And, apparently there's a few people who didn't. And so when that happened, I felt really discouraged, sad, distrusting. Um, and I was like, I don't want to do this again, where I have to build a whole clientele from scratch, go to a space, and then I get too shiny potentially. And maybe that's my perspective only, where I become too shiny of an object for people in this space
Mm.
where it's like, yo, that's too much. It's too much himself. He's being whatever that means for somebody that's uncomfortable with me. And so I built the online I'm starting to build my online out of necessity.
Mm.
I've had a few virtual clients for the last few years, love working with them. Um, but when that happened, I had problems trusting people again, trusting a space again.
Absolutely. Absolutely, dude.
It's just like you go to the same place, same space every day for a year and a half, 2 years. That becomes your safe space. That becomes your training ground, where you build brotherhood, where you build family. And
Yeah.
then to be like, damn, a few people didn't fuck with me, and now I'm being removed. Like, I want to build my own fucking ecosystem, and I want to be able to go to different communities that I do fuck with and do fuck with me, and enhance the experience there. To do that, I'm gonna need to be fully remote. To do that, I have a lot of online game to learn.
Mm.
Marketing, systems behind the marketing. What happens when somebody's, I am interested? What do those DMs look like for nurturing? Right?
See,
Because now it's a whole different game versus in person, where
yeah.
I can just dialogue with somebody when I see them like, hey, you have super questionable form, and I'd love to share some knowledge with you and bring you through a session and sell them that way, right? Where I'm helping them in that manner. This is a different game. Online people don't trust as much.
No. Not
We
at
talk
all.
about saturation, yes and no, right? Because I looked up some stats yesterday. Maybe I'm not completely right here, but in the world of functional fitness and unconventional training, it looked like 0.3 to 1.5% of the fitness industry is in that space.
Hmm.
That's a very small market. It's a very sliver of the fitness space. Hey, Tim, I just want to lose fat and build muscle. I really just need a good nutrition plan.
And that's 90% of what you people are looking
And
for.
that's most of what people who are buying fitness or buying coaching are really looking for. They just want to feel better. They just want to look better, and they're willing to do that. And that looks like the easiest process, right? Hey, I just want to eat better, and I'll do a little bit of lifting a week. It's very manageable. And so it makes sense why most people are in it. And then bodybuilding, for example, like it's always been around because it was shiny, it was sexy, it is sexy, it's shiny, it attracts eyes, and then that community really built together over time to
Hmm.
attract crowds, spectators, and then what comes with attention? Money. So now there's more money in something like bodybuilding versus how many people online are using kettlebells, let alone fucking maces,
Yeah. Yeah.
let
No, no,
alone the
exactly.
landmine. It's like such a tiny sliver. So that market is, even though we're talking saturated, it's so small.
Yeah.
There's a
In
lot
our
of
specific
room.
niche, it's not that saturated at all.
Yep, there's a lot of room to grow the market, and that's
Hmm.
what I think we're all forgetting. Is there's a lot of people that are bored of their programs and they
Yeah.
want to try something new, and so it's up to us to build spaces and events to bring in more attention, like clout. What I love Tom, and Tom's like all work, no content, or
This
whatever. People
motherfucker,
be
I
like
swear,
all content, no work.
I cannot go a single fucking podcast
You
without this
need both.
motherfucker.
You need both though. When he says like, "Yo, people are all content, no work," yes and no, because I'm starting to realize the psychology of this. You need to make good content
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
in today's age of online training, I'm not just an online trainer. I'm a fucking entertainer. I'm an entertainer and a fucking trainer if I want to exist online for the most part.
An entertainer.
An
That's
entertainer. And it's the
fucking
same thing
great.
in person. It's not like your clients pay you just for the workout. They
No,
pay you
it is
for,
like
hey,
yeah, yeah,
Susan, you can
yeah.
talk to me about what's going on in your work life if you want. I'm a safe space. Hey, I had a great weekend, Larry. It was a blast. And let me share with you about my experience. They're there for stimulation and entertainment. And it's the same, but it's a harder thing online to capture attention. Hence, naked posts sometimes.
Oh yeah, I was just about to bring that shit up. If you want to talk about exposure, this man literally just flat out.
And in the name of exploration right now, like, I'm working online to build sponsorships, to get opportunities where, how bad, I don't know about you, but when I was in high school, I was like, man, imagine being in the NBA and I'm going to get paid to wear shoes. Like, I'm going to get paid to have commercials. Like, we all wanted sponsorships. I want to be
Yeah,
flown out to do things. Who the fuck wouldn't want? You
who
feel so
doesn't want
seen
that
and
shit?
valued when something like that happens. And so right now, I'm just exploring and experimenting and not judging myself for trying new ways to start entertaining people, start gaining attraction, attention. And maybe it's a little sexualized, but it's the same thing in bodybuilding. How did they get people into bodybuilding? They fucking sexualized it.
Hmm.
And in some ways, if we can make our modalities more sexy, I think people will pay more attention to it.
Well, I mean, you hit it the nail on the head with a couple of years ago, creating the a thrust that you can trust. That's a phrase that I even still say to
It's
this day
still,
in the
people
middle
are
of
still
classes.
using it, and I'd even go all in on it. But again, this relates to sex. And you know what else
The
human beings
thrust,
like and understand and feel similarly? Sex.
sex sells. Sex
Sex
sells.
sells.
No matter what, sex sells.
Yep.
It's a downside of the industry, but you know what? If it's something that you need
But
to
it's also
succeed,
an upside because now the person understands.
an upside.
It
But it's also it's a you. What I will say is that I also been talking with someone who's been walking me through the online coaching realm as well because I I want to be able to make New York money but it's just too freaking expensive to stay here in Long Island. Like the reality is starting up a family here, starting up an actual like bigger business here. No, it's not overly complicated, but it's not the ideal place that I would want to be setting up my platform. So my goal is to try to develop the online realm with a little bit more of the based behind the aspect that there's no bullshit. Like what you see is what you get. I have nothing up my sleeves. I'm as transparent as people get between not only just what I take, what I put my clients through. There's just a straight up clear wall of my entire business in itself. So trying to now convert that into online, finding out the little things about the algorithm, finding out just like no hashtags, less captions, make sure you put DM coach in the
This
first
is the trending
thing.
song. These are the holy fucking
Yeah,
airball. Follow this trend. There's a
yeah,
whole game on the entertainment side of this where the crazy sad part is we just got into this to help people.
yeah. Exactly. We just want to help and leave an impact and change lives, but we can't do that unless we make them laugh and make Instagram's fucking dick tickle in order for us to
Yeah,
put their
yeah,
fucking information
it's
out there.
playing in the matrix because we are in the matrix in that sense. You know, there is a setup, there are games to be played,
Hmm.
and of course, like there are those outliers who don't have to and don't, and it works. But for the rest of us, like while we're finding our voices, there's ways to remix content that makes it ours. And again, like attention is the biggest asset. Like we just saw Ashton Hall, take over the internet for the last few months. All
Literally.
he did was gain attention. I was looking at, one of his posts about how if you look at him cold plunging, then one of them, he has socks. People hate that. It's cringy. And so people watch more because they're like, fucking wearing socks while he's cold plunging. Like
Hate
that's something
watchers.
that is getting people's attention on a subconscious level. It's like flipping over an ice cream cone and eating it from the upside down. It's like, fuck, I hate this. I'm going to keep watching.
What the fuck's he
And
doing?
that shit gets attention. And what gets attention gets potential sponsorships, gets monetization. And in today's age, like, there's a lot of that to be had.
Yeah. Dylan, OB Fit, he's the one that's been coaching me through this, the online realm of this. And he was talking about it the other day when it comes down to how much of the fuckery that it is between the algorithm, where even if you keep one camera angle and just like keep it up front the entire time and just no cuts, no nothing, and it's just raw, you're not going to get as much attention. But if you take that same exact video, you create some cuts and different angles,
Yep.
and it instantly will then get more attention because that is what caters towards Instagram's current algorithm. Because it's not even like you can stick towards one algorithm and that's it. Like that's what you're going to stick to. No, you got, unless you're someone with a massive million followers, then your niche is literally going to be whatever is whatever going to keep the constant algorithm attention, not just your audience attention, while also not steering too far away from your own brand. It's a constant juggle, which
Yep.
I'm sure we're used to by now at this point. But there's a whole different world of this now. I remember fucking doing the Instagram when it, fitness Instagram when I first started 8 years ago, and it was individual uh what's a carousel type training videos with my phone music as the music and a description
Yep.
of every single workout, and then that got some decent attention. But then the second reels and everything else came into play, and trending sounds and trending like things to do. It's also it kills the whole want to do it. And then going back to something else I want to say more about Dylan, he brought it up a good point that yes, we're in an oversaturated industry, but there's also an undersaturated amount of coaches that actually give a fuck about their clientele and what they're doing, versus the cookie cutter just buy this program and instantly get everything that we've done. Like no, there's the heart and the soul in the training industry that someone like yourself, especially is a real good example when it comes down to you just got, you know, the shit end of the stick when it comes down to some people not fucking with you. But what did you do at the end of the day? You turned that back around and now you're turning it into an opportunity to learn more new things. And it's a constant cycle within training where what happens if we get injured? Are you just going to be settled on your ass and kicked on your ass and wait until you're sitting on your bed and now you can no longer move? No, you're going to get back up and you're going to find ways to move and keep your body moving. It's the mentality
It's
that
hard, bro, because I think what you and myself and others in this industry have gotten used to is I know how to stretch myself while training, stretch my mind, right? Get to those scary places, to hit those PRs. Like I know how to really just, yeah, stretch my comfort when it comes down to training. I know how to get there frequently, where most people never do. On the other end of that stick, I'm just learning how to stretch my mind in entrepreneurship and online business, stretch my mind in marketing, stretch my mind in editing, stretch my mind. And if I can't do that, I need to learn how to delegate. Who do I delegate to?
mm,
These are all new ways of stretching my nervous system. And I know it's going to lead towards an evolution over time, but I'm in the middle of the drop. I'm like, right now, today's post, I don't know how it's going to do. I don't know how my whole fucking platform's going to receive me being fucking naked holding coffee by my cock and balls. But I had to drop the bell a fuckload of times to get really great at it. And over time, if I can just keep trying things that feel good, feel like me, like, you know what? My brand is a little sexualized, everybody. I have been talking about sex on half my shit. If you don't squeeze your ass like you're fucking inside that person, getting all the way in where butt cramps, like you're not getting deep enough in your movements. You're not putting enough power into your
you
hip extension. You want to look for those sensations.
have extra little
So
2 inches back there. Use it all.
So yeah, when it comes down to again, like what you're going through in that sense, learning this new space, and me too, and many others, like there's a lot of learning to be had, and I
Yeah.
think we get so comfortable being uncomfortable physically, we forget how to do it mentally and emotionally.
Boom. Right there, especially the mental part, because we are so it it's so what's the word? Stimulated. We're constantly stimulated throughout the day, especially if you're a busy trainer. You're someone who is constantly taking on always other emotions, all these other people, all this other energy all day long. You need to find ways to then not let life get in the way of you training up here as well. Like all this stuff is great to train your body, yeah, but what happens when you're going through some of the hardest times mentally and you have no real, want to say, floaties that you've like security floaties that can keep you above the water of depression when you're also really focusing on trying to build up so much of your mental strength while also taking on other people, while also being able to still be that image that you are currently. Like you are this shining light of funny sexualization while also giving a fuck and training hard. There's the fucking where I'm trying to pull this into, and I was really hoping that me stretching that out would give me the fucking word, but
Hey man, edits are
it's
cool.
editing is cool, but also the fucking son of a bitch, like it's on the tip of my fucking tongue, and I can't fucking think of the name of it, but the 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 sheer will of yep, there goes podcast brain. I fucking completely lost that train of thought.
It's all good,
That
man.
that's happens one of this fucking podcast. Sometimes it's like I'll get completely into a thought and then I'll go another thought, and then my ADHD completely takes over because I didn't smoke a fucking joint before this to really slow my thoughts down. So
All good, bro. I'm going to be starting a podcast soon, and it's going to be a learning lesson, because I also have thoughts while people are talking sometimes, and that or triggers a thought, and instead of me being able to focus on the moment and what they're saying, I'm like thinking about that thought. So, makes a
yeah,
lot of sense on a podcast.
it's reps. I mean, I'm doing this shit now for now like consistently 4 years, but
Yeah.
it started off with me using my old 2013 MacBook and a cheap ass web camera and then a $5 microphone. And then little by little over time, with some decent success, I actually had some from episodes and some people who kindly donated towards getting better equipment because they actually like hearing me talk for some fucking reason. It's an
Is what's
opportunity.
coming out isn't all planned and shit.
No.
And I do want to go circle back to what you were saying, and maybe it'll remind you of your thoughts. So, you know, I think what most of us forget, because you're training your body, and of course your mind is connected to your body, but are you training your mind? Are you training your perspective? And something I've really had to work through the last few
Perspective.
months
You
because
literally just got the fucking word
I'm
perspective.
not used to feeling depressed. Inside of those six emotional needs we've talked about, I've been so high off servicing sessions throughout my whole career that when I don't have that outlet, who am I? Am I emotionally fulfilled when I'm not training others? Can I still have fulfillment in my life? Or is that all that makes me me? And that's something I've really been challenged with this year.
Hmm.
When I stopped servicing a lot more in person, was like, damn, I have a lot of shit I haven't thought about, and I've been distracted by because I don't allow myself to have enough time to think and to feel. And so something, as I was realizing this last few months, I was definitely in a depressive episode because for the first time in my life, or since I was a teenager, I didn't want to leave my bed. I remember for the first time in my career, I went to the gym and then I just walked right out. I was like, no, I'm good. I've never had that happen. I was cutting off everyone in my life. They would reach out and I just felt shame for connecting with them. Like I'm not valuable enough. I'm not giving enough. There's no exchange here for them. Like they're just gonna fucking sit here and hear me bitch or like me be a low vibration in what they're going through a high time. Like I haven't really been in that space. And so the last, I'd say 6 weeks, what's been huge for me is realizing like, fuck, I'm not consuming any positive content, god damn it. Like I wake up in the morning and I'm seeing that Donald Trump and Elon Musk broke up, and I'm seeing war everywhere, and that's how I'm starting my day.
Yeah.
Tits, ass, whatever, funny memes, like workouts. What the fuck is going in my brain to remind me to be positive? Nothing. So what did I do then? Like after a few weeks of feeling this way, I flipped on a YouTube piece of content about positive mindset work. And then I was reminded of just like when I was in my early 20s, I was like, oh, Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn,
Hmm.
Napoleon Hill, people who've trained their mind to stay disciplined in a state of positive outlooks, who've trained their mind to see optimism versus pessimism.
Well,
And I really took
mm.
I've been taking every day to at least listen to a piece of content, potentially in the morning or the evening, to make sure that I'm readopting those patterns in my brain. Because just like we have, what is it? Positive. I don't know if it's positive, but it's neuroplasticity training, right? People practice positive neuroplasticity training. Our fucking default as human beings is to be negative.
Yeah.
So as soon
Brain
as
loves
you
to
get
focus
into
on
a
the
negative
negative.
loop and you stop training your positive neuroplasticity, it's very easy to go into negative neuroplasticity where everything sucks. Where what's the point of anything?
Mm.
Where this is all going to turn out bad, starting to picture out the negative situations. When we train and we do something that we couldn't do before, that is positive neuroplasticity training. When you train your brain to listen to content that motivates you, that inspires you, that supports you, when you don't have those thoughts in your head naturally, which most of us don't, that is how we train our brain, right? That's why we love when we have some people in our lives who motivate us, who remind us to keep our fire. That
Hmm.
is us gaining that neuroplasticity training through what they're feeling, seeing, and being in the world. And then you have the emotional side of this, like what we talked about earlier, like when you're not being this character as a trainer, like what emotionally fulfills you? Is it time with friends, skateboarding, a walk alone in the park, being around nature, travel, moment to moments in life? Like what else gets you going outside of just being a coach and trainer? And that's something I've really had to work through, and I'm still working through these last few months where it's like, hey, when I'm not making great money, do I still love myself?
And
Do
I
I
think
still have value to give people? And the answer is fucking yes. It's as
I was
simple
about
as
to
a
say, I'd
smile.
hope that answer is yes, because you
It's as
definitely
simple
fucking
as a
do.
smile at people because so many people are in such a shit mentality. I might not be where I want to be financially and in a lot of ways successfully, but can I at least brighten up your day today? That'll make me feel good. That'll make me feel accomplished. That'll make me feel valued to know that I helped your fire grow bigger today, even if it's a millimeter.
Now, one thing I also want to let you know is like when you are going through that hardships, this is where, and especially after the hardship that you had gone through, I know it's very easy to go down that route of mistrust, but you do have a solid support team of individuals that are also very understanding on what it's like to be down that very same road as well. So I do also understand when you don't want to reach out, you don't want to answer back, but that's when fighting back your brain comes into play and saying, yeah, I'm a little down. Can you think we go out for a cup of coffee? Or I'm a little down. You think we can go out for a workout? Amount of times, especially in the veteran community, like I've had plenty of guys, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, sometimes even call me just because they don't feel safe upstairs and they know that I'm a safe person that they can call and contact. And then I immediately bring them to exactly where I brought myself when I had my the massive depression episode and almost tried to kill myself. Actually, we're coming up on the third year anniversary of that on Saturday. It'll be 3 years ago that I made the attempt, and then 2 days later, I checked myself into a hospital.
Wow.
Uh, the whole concept behind that, and me just being fully transparent about that with all my clientele, is to let them know, like, have been down the deepest road of depression. I have fought every demon possible mentally up here between addiction, between getting off of opioids and alcohol, between food addiction, between porn addiction, like all these other addictions, and massively that can corrupt your brain into a different way if you let it versus when you finally have a support team and they can also not check you in dickhead ways, but check you, respect you, and help you at the same time. That's the kind of support circle that I know for a fact that I have now, and I've been able to rely on for the last couple of years. Fucking a couple of days, and I try not to bring this motherfucker up every podcast, but I swear to God, his name comes up almost every time. But literally, like 3 days after I got out of the hospital, I went down to the Strength Factory and met Tom for the first time. And from that point on, like I was given an opportunity to really see what this training world could be, but then also be around individuals that are very like-minded, very understanding, because I was also very open and upfront with Tom about what I literally just had gone through. And since that point on, he's been not only just a great friend, but he's been a great coach to me as well. Anytime I go down to the factory, you're still one of the only motherfuckers I know that did 2 workouts in the factory in one day, which is still I can't fathom because just after one, I'm completely smoked for at least a day and a half. But it's having that system of people that I truly want you to also understand that you do have. So if there's these constant waves that do come through, know that you have a support system that you can rely on, that you can talk to. And I know it's very easy, especially when you get fucked over. It's so easy to go down a route of, I'm not gonna fucking trust people, fuck people. I've
Yep.
been down that route so many fucking times as well. But when it comes down to that, it's also learning to take the L. Not the L as in a loss, but the L as in a lesson.
Hmm.
It's the two ways that you could look at this being when it's held up. You can either hold it to your head and take it as the loss and you keep losing at everything, or you can put it out in front of you and put it on a piece of paper and put it as a lesson and put it in a chapter towards your lessons of success.
That
You
was a
know,
hard kettlebell drop, but yeah.
it's the the overall experience that I hope that people understand when it comes down to this life and training and being around other people is that you truly are not only your own worst enemy, but you can be your own best tool at the same time. Meaning that on days that you're feeling worn down and you're feeling completely dreaded, like your file is no longer sharp, get around individuals that'll help sharpen that fire again, or help sharpen that file again, and give you the abilities to be a stronger tool. There's such a tool for community that's so lost in this industry because everyone is so tribal and so stuck in their own ways, and one person has to be the tribal chief of everything. Like, no, The reality is, we're all on a fucking rock in the middle of space, floating around this Death Star that's eventually going to consume this planet. We got to be able to rely on the community and to be able to rely on some individuals that if we are really feeling heavy up here, we can definitely go to. I have 5 people that I know for a fact that I can go to, 4 of them being family, but the one of them not, because I know that's my immediate support system here. And if God forbid none of them can go on, then I know for a fact I have at least some people I can call from afar. There's a time where I can never say that there's never going to be another time where you don't feel that again.
Yep.
Because as someone like myself, there's been multiple waves, especially coming out when I came out of the army back in 2018 and I was at my heaviest with the alcohol and the pill addiction. And I thought about killing myself a lot more that time frame. I never thought I'd have to go through that mentality again. Fast forward 4 years later, it happened again. And I didn't have
Yeah.
a support system. So when you have a support system, just from man to man, just know that you can always reach out whenever you need
Yeah,
anything
I'm
at that
super
point.
grateful for the people in my life who've been checking in, checking in consistently, asking how they can support. And the funniest side of that is like it's hard to I've learned for me it's not a known habit of mine to just receive.
Mm,
I've always wanted to provide, give, give, give. And so I noticed over the last few months, like, damn, like I really need to work on receiving and being okay with being loved on and
yeah.
supported and seen and valued. And, like, yeah, just, it's a skill to
It
receive,
is.
not just give.
When you're constantly used to giving and you're constantly used to, putting being the provider, it's so hard for you to say, wait, but I can get this, I can do this, but you don't have to do that. You don't have to. I can do that, but it's like no. When someone tells you, no, I got this, you sit down, you relax. Here's something for you. That's not easy. Like it's not easy to a strong man who is very much a provider and stuck in your provided ways. And it's not something that it's an easy skill. Don't think that, you're not normal for not being able to receive.
Yeah, it's so beautifully fucked up how, like, we love how good it feels when we help people. And then we forget that by being helped, that person gets to feel that feeling too,
Mm, mm,
you know?
mm, right there.
And it's like
Exactly.
to not allow that person to help you, isn't that kind of fucked up because you're the only one riding that high of being able to help?
When you know damn well that high feels so damn good when you genuinely help somebody and you genuinely make them feel good and they are loving themselves and loving life, there's no better feeling than that. Like I truly do feel that there is no better feeling than truly giving somebody not only just one, it could be giving someone the best experience, it could be giving, someone the best orgasm, it could be giving somebody the overall just best advice or just overall best food. If someone's just appreciative of you and of your service, you still got to be able to say thank you
When
for
someone
whatever.
receives from you, it feels good.
Yeah, it
So
does.
why not be on the other end of that stick sometimes? And that's something I'm learning.
And it's good to know that you are learning that because you do deserve your flowers. And I don't want you to ever think that you don't deserve them because you definitely do. And with that being said now, typically towards the end of this podcast, I'll ask a variety of quick questions, more so just trying to get an understanding of where this next chapter of my guest is going on to. One question is, what is your next goal, or what are your next goals in general?
So business goals, um, and in the way it connects to my life goals, I want to supply a high ticket online experience. And I'm doing that in some ways, but I want to have such valuable content and positioned and organized and presented in such a way that it makes sense to make it a no-brain purchase. And so having someone like probably 5 to 10 people that I'm consistently training with, checking in with, like soul client vibes, I love that. Whether it's in person or online, and I want to continue serving in that way. I want to build out the Train Crazy community because there's a lot of us that train crazy and Crazy just means passionate.
Mhm.
Crazy means willing to explore, do new things. And I think having a safe space online where we can all interact and talk about our exploration and have lessons and build community is another space that for me I want to be in a business, as well as just impact. I'm in love with education, workshops, clinics. I know you can relate to that.
Mhm.
I find I do a really great job of creating an educational setting and space for coaches, recreational athletes to really walk away with a lot of knowledge, let alone a high experience where people walk away like just high as fuck off the moment we just had and that experience. And part of me originally was going to move back to South Florida immediately. Right now, I'm thinking about staying in Austin and kind of just putting myself back out there again, um, because I do love in-person training and I do love in-person community. But I've realized, being one gym for the last year and a half, 2 years, I really didn't explore the city. I
Mm.
really didn't explore the people. There's so many fitness communities out here, and I barely know any of them.
Mm.
And if I could help a space, you know, correct fitness now on it then, be reminded of their roots, which I know I did. I brought a lot of unconventional and functional fitness. So things on their wall say optimization. I reminded them, I reminded them they're great, but I really reminded them you are a human performance center. This is about optimizing the way you train. And that means doing these tools to synchronize your brain, body, and soul. That's what these tools are doing. They require full presence, full awareness, full you. What more high performance training can you do? And so if I can impact a space like that, and in Orlando, Florida, I built a full gym that was very similar, all unconventional and functional fitness, had 80 to 90 members consistently training there in these manners. If I can impact that place, where else can I bring impact? And so over time, like one of the visions I see for myself is at least having the security of my online one-on-one clients or high ticket group experience and being able to go out to a gym like Long Island Strength Factory and work with a friend for fun to help them build the community, help them build the experience, help bring more fire to their fire.
Mm.
And I'd like to do that all across the country because I have a lot of friends and connections that do own incredible gyms and communities and do like these types of training. And if we want to grow the culture more, then we need to collaborate more. And if I had the freedom to travel more financially and I felt more secure for me and my dog while doing it, no brainer for me. I would spend 3 months in every location
Mm.
and bring different types of classes, different types of education, and just variety because that's what people really love in a gym.
Yeah, well, actually, we just changed up a bunch of the classes in general and added more classes. So variety has definitely been a selling point as well. So that's definitely major. Yeah,
Yeah.
the collaboration parts. Well, you answered a couple of questions I was going to ask in itself. But the one what I wanted to ask, have you thought about reopening up another facility or doing your own facility out in Austin?
um, the thoughts cross the mind. I would say, looking back at my experience as a brick and mortar owner, I'm a really great leader in a space, but I don't know if I'm necessarily the best owner in a
Okay,
space because
I see what you're saying.
the
I'm the
hats
same
of
way.
operating, for example, is a whole different hat than owning. The fact of when you're a CEO and you're COO, you're running general manager, you're running training manager, you're running sales, you're running marketing, you're writing lead gen, you're writing programs, classes. There's so many hats that come with that responsibility. But I would totally open a gym with some homies.
Mm.
If I had like 3 to 5 homies that I know like we all like training together, we would train together. Um, we can all like have different roles in a facility and gym. I would do that. Same thing if I had somebody who wanted to invest a lot of money into, because truthfully, most gyms are a passion project.
Yeah. Well, that's the funniest thing you fucking say that because that's exactly what Unique is. The owner of Unique Fitness is he literally opened up the facility. He was already a successful business owner doing laundromats and flipping
Yep.
laundromats. He then just said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna open up a gym." 14 years ago, yeah, 14 years ago, off of a highway, opened up one facility. It got pretty good. One place closed down. He bought that building, opened up second location. That building closed down. Then right before COVID happened, he bought the building that I'm in right now, which is the biggest building, and it is the most popular non-commercial family gym.
Yep.
Constant, like, and he did it as a passion project, and the
Yeah,
gym is a $10
yeah.
million
So
gym.
if I had the income I want from, like, let's say the content creation side, the sponsorships, the brand partnerships, community paying me money, to be in a community, people buying a shirt if I made a shirt. Like if I had that kind of support, and I had a bunch of income that was coming in, that's where I would spend it. Absolutely. I'd want to be a rabbi again inside of a fitness community because that was something I felt really strong about. And I know no matter where I've gone, I've left a fuckload of impact in the
Mm.
spaces. And like I just want to be somebody who I loved having a space. There's a lot of things I loved about it, but there was so much I didn't know and I didn't have the tools for. So
And when you say like a couple of the homies, where are you thinking would that be?
I don't know, man. Like I love my family's in South Florida. So like I'd love to be back in South Florida at some point more often or have the ability to be there a lot more throughout the year. I love California. Texas, I think is cool overall. Um, you know, Long Island, as we know, Tom's Strength Factory is like to me, it is the mecca now of unconventional training.
Absolutely.
I,
That
I, I
place,
can't say, before On It changed their name to Correct, like, no offense, they were not. Like, I was one of the ones keeping that thing alive. And even the other coaches that got more into the primal tools classes, like, big bridge for that to make sure that that stuck around. Them all using landmines all of a sudden, big bridge for that to influence the coaches to want to learn rope flow.
hmm.
So I would say Tom does have that hat right now as that gym.
And it's a hat that he deserves to wear
Yep, he
because
works
that
super
man
hard in every manner,
every
shows up
day,
every day. One of the most disciplined of us all, if not the most disciplined in all
yeah,
ways. So it's like, if I could be someone who helps fan that flame, awesome. I
then
don't need to have
I
ownership
mean,
over a
shit,
space. I just love having impact in a space.
Long Island right now is basically Florida in the summertime. So I mean, it's not too far away. It's not too far away from the environment, at least. But and I know for a fact, like if you and Tom came like actually collaborated on the business out over here and it made like a Strength Factory Part Two more towards the Hamptons part of Long Island, where the richy people are. Oh, I have zero doubt that you guys would do an absolutely killing, crushing business out over there with the following that you already have because of when you came out over here the first time and we did that flow session, the amount of people in my gym that said, "You worked with the crazy trainer? You trained with crazy trainer?" And it was just like, yeah, it's like, whoa, I didn't know I really fucking know this guy like that. But I know that you guys I know that you have that following out over there, but I also know that Tom has a decent following on Long Island in the eastern part of Long Island. It's
Yep.
going out to the western part of Long Island for a lot of the East Enders, it's not in the cards because of the traffic and how many times how long of an actual drive it is versus what it should take. For me, he's only about 35 minutes away from where I live, but that's on a 6 o'clock in the morning drive with no traffic.
Yep. And people pay for convenience,
Yeah,
and so that's the other battle of everything right now.
that
So like
is
I
the
said,
battle.
like if I would just want to be so successful financially where I literally would be able to like pour so much because I had the ability to, not because I'm like pouring from an empty cup. So my goal in the next, this year is to really see my brand dominate, and to get a lot of support behind me by providing more value, more entertainment, more experiences,
More nudes.
more nudes.
Uh,
Whatever is going to get people more into it is something I'm realizing like that's really what's most important. Like if I want more clout on kettlebells and landmines and sandbags and maces, it's going to be all content sometimes, not work.
Yeah,
And content is work. I'm going to do both because I love it. But
he's
no
staring right
doubt,
at
it's
you,
like
Tom. He's
that's
staring right at you.
that's cool. That's cool. It's the truth. We
Uh,
were talking about, and we are talking about, is some of us in a group about, how Belfast is a thing.
yeah.
So when you think about Belfast, it's just again a small percentage of the fitness space, and it's growing a bit every year. It's growing a bit every year because we are coming together and collaborating and capturing content and marketing. Well, it doesn't mean it's that profitable, for us to all these coaches to take time off their business and like we all want to get paid, we all want to get sponsorships and brand deals. Well, you know what, motherfuckers? It's gonna take some time. You want that? You want that? It's got to become cool. You want it to become cool? You got to make it sexy. You got to make events happen. You got to make incentives for people to want to show up, for people to want to
Mhm.
post about it. How does something like High Rocks blow the fuck up? Well, they already had a giant thing in Europe before they even came to America. They had a lot of money behind it already. When they came to America, do you not think that they asked influencers to compete for free or bought their tickets, plane rides, or paid them money to talk about the experience, the product, to market it? They had a lot of money behind it,
Mhm.
and they're getting more and more and more. So that
And
sport is
bigger
blowing
and
up
bigger
faster
every
and
year.
faster and faster. It's going to take either someone in our circles having a shitload of money that cares enough about, like, it's not about money, it's about getting people to fucking move in new ways. We're going to have to either have someone or others, multiple people who have that kind of bread, like Bruce Wayne is how I see it. I want to become a Bruce Wayne, or we have to sacrifice and come together and realize like it's not about the money. It's
Yep.
about the experience and getting more people to want to get involved. That's the only way our side of the industry is going to grow in the unconventional training space. Because the only other manner outside of that is getting these tools into famous people's hands or
Mhm.
becoming famous where people want to listen. And that's the psychology of the game, where it's like if we can get the best basketball players in the world to use a landmine and show them with clips on proper landmine technique, then the college athletes, the high school athletes, the middle school athletes, it all drops from the top. So I think that road is going to take a lot of time. And in the meantime, if we want it to keep moving, collaboration, collaboration, collaboration.
Mhm. And
We
it's
got to
really
create more space.
it's really funny that you say all of that between proper funding and all of that and having the famous people for that because not really he's not really famous yet at all whatsoever. But one of my clients, he's getting ready to go into college, but his brother already is a pitcher for the New York Yankees. So the motions that I have him going through with the club with the Addicts Club and Addicts Maces, I got the college that he is going to wanting me to come down and teach them all this stuff.
That's awesome.
So someone like him and the kind of connections that he has, I know for a fact if I was able to pitch something like that, I would definitely be able to get a good amount of funding between not only just the people that are around here on Long Island. There's someone I can tell someone it's going to be 780 a month to train with me 3 times a week for an hour. And some of these people will just say, "Oh, that's it."
Yep. It's
And
the same thing online too. It's out there.
yeah, it's out there. So when people say like there's no way you can make money in this, like no, if you have enough value and if you actually have, serious business behind your brand, people will invest in your time, especially if you know what the fuck you're talking about with backed results. And not only just from yourself, but from your clientele as well. But I say all
And
that
then
to
the
say,
other end of that stick, just so you know, is people will buy your time, but they really value the results the most. So
yeah,
if you don't need to give your time as a coach to get results, which is the world of online, that's the goal of a lot of online coaches is to no longer trade their hours. Having the system set up to make sure that that client succeeds, that cookie cutter, but such a good cookie cutter that they can't fuck up.
mm,
That is what people are really paying money for, is the
mm,
end result, not necessarily the journey.
exactly. Yeah, for most people, I'd say that. except for the older crowd. The older crowd, for the most part, they're just looking to move their body. They're looking to
Yeah,
keep themselves healthy.
they just want
But
that
yeah,
accountability to
yeah,
somebody, show up, entertain, variety, all those things. But
exactly.
I
Some of
will
my
say the
favorite, some of my
online
favorite
world,
people.
that's a big part of of what's going on is people are paying for, oh, I'm gonna look like that. As long as I pay this, I'm gonna look like this.
Yeah, that's what
And if
that's
you
where.
have the systems and the pieces in play to make sure that someone succeeds like that, you're gonna get paid well.
Eh, and hopefully the right people start to become more invested in the industry and the way that we view it, because I just don't like seeing where you have the wrong trainers getting famous, you have the wrong trainers getting the publicity, like then you have memes like the Kardashian training video going around and women actually thinking that's how she trains and all this shit too as well. So there's a whole lot of like, perspective when it comes down to social media as well, to people. Don't be stupid when it comes down to
Yeah,
the
well, that's where it's gonna come
industry.
down to things like this, like I'm not jumping on like Mark Smelly Bell's podcast, right? Mark Bell podcast is one of the biggest to me functional fitness podcasts to be on. Now, I don't know where you're at yet,
Oh,
and like it's
I'm
gonna
still,
take
I'm definitely
time,
still way
right?
down there, but
It's gonna take time, but if we don't take time to have these kind of conversations, whether it's one person or 1,000 or 100,000 people that are going to consume this, we don't give them an opportunity to dive in with us.
mm,
And so it is about showing up when our community reaches out and gives us an opportunity to collaborate. Well, if I want this shit more popular, people need to see us connecting. People need to see what the mind behind the movement is doing, because we don't move a specific way without thinking a specific way. And people just are studying the way we move, not our thoughts yet, at least for me. And that's the big part of this year is
mm.
I want human beings to hear my thoughts, not just watch the way I move. It looks pretty, it looks aggressive, it's different. Congratulations. My mind is what's running that shit. I'm thinking different to move this way. Why, if you want to move this way or curious, here's an opportunity to tap in.
I feel like you would do a phenomenal like Bill Burr type podcast where it's just you talking to the fucking camera and you just basically almost like you're talking to yourself in a way, because you have such great advice and you have such great like short ways of attacking what you're getting to with your points, but also keeping the attention and keeping the word sexy. You know, I'm not saying like they have to be like, hour, 2 hour long podcasts like the way he like Bill Burr does. Like even if you just did like the 20, 30 minutes of just talking, like and just do that up on a YouTube channel, someone like yourself, I know for a fact would definitely get the attention of, in particularly, a lot of people who are lost but want funny, relatable, serious people, because everybody wants to laugh. Nobody wants to just watch another fucking boring documentary or just hear someone else talking a lot of much shit. There's another reason why Tony Robbins has some comedy dropped in the middle of his
Yep.
talks. There's another reason.
Entertainer.
Yeah, you gotta drop the laughs every now and then. It's another reason why, like in the beginning of this podcast, I fucking screamed at the top of my lungs. Did the fucking just because it's like I'm trying to be less serious. I'm trying to show more of my actual goofier side that naturally is there, but I've just been too fucking caged up in my mind to be this persona of a serious, educated trainer who went through shit. Like, no, at the end of the day, that's not gonna, one, that doesn't sell shit other than this fucking depression merch. But it's also just a fucking now an opportunity for me to really let the cage loose. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's the way we connect with others, man. Is there's a fine line between, and I'm learning about it, being authentic and acting. Like
mm,
for content, like there is a form of acting in some ways. The greatest actors seem authentic.
yeah, yeah,
I think of every amazing movie you've ever loved, like they're acting
yeah.
and it entertains, and we connect to that person, but they are authentically becoming that character, the best of their abilities to what they can do to again connect the audience. So thanks for saying that. I'm definitely I have a podcast idea, but in the meantime, I can run it like that because I want to start off a podcast. I did a couple episodes and I really loved it with David Weck and Danny Cola, and I did is called What
Shout out Danny
Drives You
Cole. I haven't
Crazy.
talked to Danny in a long ass time. Man, I forgot.
Good
Oh,
guy to check
fuck.
in with.
I know. I know.
But I
It's been
asked the name of the podcast. I want to call it What Drives You Crazy. And so what I would do is bring, let's say it could be a random person in Austin who like has a good following or doesn't have a good following, and I'll invite them for a workout for our style, 45 to 60 minutes, just like fuck around with me. Let's hit something. If they're experienced, we can go harder. And then from there, I'd want to go into, let's grab a meal and catch a podcast. And let's talk about what's driving you crazy right now. Like what are you really fired up about when it comes down to the fitness industry? What's something that's really exciting you right now? But on the other end of that stick, what's driving you crazy? What the fuck's pissing you off right now in the
mm,
fitness industry? Let's talk about that. And same
dude,
thing, like I really enjoyed talking
fuck
about
yeah.
when I had David Weck on my podcast, it was virtual like this. And I loved guiding the conversation because he's so all over the place. He
Yeah,
goes on tangent, tangent, tangent. But I'm somebody who I'm really paying attention. So when you say like, oh, well, this moment happened and then I decided I was going to do this. And then they start going on tangent. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's talk about
that moment.
why. What led to that fucking split second of a moment that brought you to, you know what, I'm going to do the Bosu ball. What brought you there versus telling me about what happened later? What was the perspective flip? Oh, were you an athlete? What sports did you play? Were you bullied? Like, what brought you to this persona? So I really enjoy connecting and getting to know people on those levels.
Dude, you
And then on
definitely need to
top
be
of
doing
that, I think
podcasting.
the connection you have when you work out with someone, it makes it a lot easier. Like go through it with someone,
Yeah,
it makes it a lot easier to be super authentic with each other. So that's kind of my idea in the next like few months. I'd like to see come to
I love
life.
it. I would love to see that content, and also like you can then hello backdoor content on the other way. You record
Yep.
the videos with the people as well when you're working out. You
Yep.
have two other fucking versions of content between not only just your workout, and if you mic that one up, you have another version of content. And then also, if it's someone that like, if say you do one with Tom, you guys do a whole podcast while you guys are working out. You
Nah,
know,
that's unacceptable, bro. That won't. It would be like a vlog style of us dying and talking shit to each other probably, and then we'd have to be able to podcast.
people would absolutely tune into that one as well, because that shit
Yeah.
gets funny, not for nothing. When you two are really pushing each other hard as fuck in the fucking gym,
It's terrifying
that shit gets terrifying. It's
and it's
terrifyingly
funny.
hilarious. It is
Yeah,
terrifying
exactly. It's like,
hilarious.
come on, you bitch.
Excuse me? Excuse me?
Yeah, it gets fun.
All right, last question, and then we're gonna wrap things up over here. If one piece of advice that you can give to anybody, it doesn't have to be fitness related, mental health related, it's just a solid piece of advice that you can give to anybody, what would that one piece of advice be?
Really pay attention to the things that light you up in this life. It's really easy to go through the motions and to do things that you don't enjoy doing when you get so caught up in it. And we're here for such a finite amount of time. So you might as well find the activities and people and communities and feelings that bring you the most emotional value. Because at the end of the day, like money is awesome and it's important and there's value there. But really, how you spent your life feeling and perceiving and providing others is kind of your legacy.
Mm,
I want to walk away being like, I'm happy. I was happy most of my life. I had a great time. I don't want to walk away playing it safe the whole time. That's a part of, for me, my leap to Austin and my leap, I've taken the last few months into the online world. I want to, I want to risk dropping the kettlebell. I'm okay with that to find what really works for me while I'm here. So,
mm, mm. Beautifully
and don't
said.
be a bitch.
I was fucking waiting for that one. I was waiting for it. Oh man, dude, Jared, this has been fucking awesome. Like, this has definitely been a fun hour, an hour and a half, man. I really do hope to hear that podcast come from you soon because you have a lot of great advice that is easily relatable and is easily digestible as well. And
Thanks.
it's
Thank
so
you.
hard to have advice from people, we hear advice from people who really haven't been through the shit and really haven't had that many struggles and say they understand, but the reality is until you've been in that bottom barrel of shit that you don't understand. And when you are able to understand, that's what makes you the most powerful speaker because then you are also now that little bit more of the spicier man where you can add a little bit of your fling into it and then show up naked while talking shit. So it's awesome. This fitness space needs individuals like you. The fitness field needs hearts like yours as well. So I truly do hope that whatever field, excuse, whatever happens next down your field, that you see the most success because you definitely do deserve it. You give your heart and soul into this all, and I truly do hope that you get the flowers that you deserve.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate that, man.
No problem, man. Listen, I hope you don't suck your dick too much, though. But this has been awesome. I appreciate you, brother, man. We'll talk soon.
Sounds great.